Hey, everybody, it's the coach. Welcome to another Rock Pile on the Go here. Today's topic's the value of tough coaching. How often do we hear coaches tough on kids and then kids go home and tell mom and dad, well, such and such coach was really tough on me. So I want to give you a few things that I think is really important to think about here when we talk about the value of tough coaching. I played for a lot of tough coaches growing up here in Rome. I played for Coach Tom Hoke. I played for Coach Tom Myslinski, played for Coach Don Bruce, Coach Bob Ryan. The list goes on and on. Basketball, I played for Coach Baldwin, and baseball, I played for Coach Fida Costi. They were all tough coaches, but at the end of the day, they held us accountable. And I think accountability builds discipline. Tough coaching teaches us athletes to be able to accept feedback, constructive criticism, own up to our mistakes, and respond the right way. And more importantly, to not make excuses. The second one I want you to think about is mental toughness. Being pushed builds confidence. Athletes can learn how to handle pressure, criticism with high expectations. The more and more you get pushed, starts to build confidence, and you start to see athletes develop and get better in practice. And obviously, sometimes that'll translate to the games, and sometimes it doesn't. But that confidence thing helps you not only in sports, but also in the classroom. The next one is adversity prepares athletes for life. I like to say all the time in my personal career, I've quit jobs. I've been fired from jobs. I've played on some really bad teams, lost big games, threw interceptions, turned it over. You name it, it happened to me in my sports career. Is it prepares us athletes for the real life. And that's one of the things that our coaches, when we're tough on kids, we're trying to prepare them from what's ahead as they get older. They don't really realize that at a young age, but when kids get into their senior year, junior and senior year, and then they graduate, they look back on their high school career and they say to themselves, that coach was right. I should have probably listened a little bit more to that coach. Standards create consistency. Tough coaching sets clear expectations and teaches athletes how to operate at a high level every day. Us coaches, we always want the best for our athletes and we create high standards. We want to set clear expectations, and it's the same thing in the classroom. The teachers want to set clear expectations for their athletes to develop each and every day. Hard coaching shows belief. Coaches demand more because they care and they see potential in those young student athletes. I always used to say to our kids is that if when a coach doesn't coach you, it's because they don't care. But when they coach you hard, it's not because they don't like you. They're coaching you hard because they see potential. And the other one is growth that happens outside the comfort zones. Real improvement comes when athletes are challenged and not coddled. And I can honestly say that throughout my career, I've never coddled a kid, even my own kids. I've always coached my own kids hard. But as a coach, as a parent, I want to develop players. I want to develop young student athletes to prepare them for what's ahead. So I think when you think of the value of tough coaching, I think you got to be careful of how you interpret that. When you see coaches in today's games, and I've gone to basketball games, baseball games, football games, soccer games, I've been to AU games, and I see some coaches that yell, and I see some coaches that are calm, they're cool, they're kind of laid back. I've really never played for any coach that was really laid back. I always played for coaches that like to get after you and challenge you and push you. Had coaches that have gotten my face before and yelled, and that's okay. I never took it personal. And I think nowadays in today's world, I think when we see a coach yell and scream and get on a kid, they think that they don't like you. Then they go home and they tell mom and dad, well, Coach Rock yelled at me or Coach Jimmy yelled at me. And next thing you know, now the parents sitting down with the athletic director saying, well, Coach Jimmy and Rocky don't like me. It has nothing to do with that. You have to really sit down and think to yourself, what is tough coaching? Because it's out there. And if you ask me, I'd rather have tough love than a coach that coddles me. Think about that the next time you're at a sporting event and you're watching a coach. Think about how that coach coaches your kid and think about the value of being coached hard. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Give it a like, follow, and subscribe. I'll see you next week on the next edition of the Rock Pile on the Go.